Good morning and welcome to the Daily Connect. My name is Raymond and I'm so glad you could be a part of this time together. We're looking at God's Word. We're seeing where the Lord is leading us and who the Lord is calling us to be. And today we are continuing through the book of Numbers, and we've been learning a lot about worship, about obedience, about the consequences of rebelling and disobedience to the Lord. And all of this is done in a very on a large and small scale, a very chiastic way. If you've been following along, you'll understand what that means. But it's been such a great journey, and the crazy thing is we're just a little bit past halfway through this now, and so there's still a lot of good stuff to be learned and to be understood in all this. But the neat thing about what we're reading here is, especially at this point in time, we are coming up to a point where a lot of the narratives are going to take place in one spot. Up until this point, we have been learning about how the nation of Israel, after exiting Egypt, they've been instructed on how to march, where to camp, or how to camp, how to organize themselves, and then we saw them on the move. And we saw them moving with disobedience, and then moving with obedience, and then now, starting in this with this chapter here, we're going to see something a little bit different. Now, the remainder of this narrative is going to kind of center around this one area. So it's going to be a good read moving forward. But at the same time, I also want to let you know, next week, starting on Monday, I will be offline for roughly about 10 days, and then I will resume my live stream at that point. I'm just going to be out for a little bit, going to a different country, but it's going to be a great time. And I hope you continue with this time with the Lord, just carrying on with your daily reading, connecting with God on a regular basis. I hope you continue to do that as I'm out. Anyhow, let's get into it. Good morning to each and every one of you. Good morning to you, Jeanette, Rich, Joanna, Missy. Thank you so much. And everyone who's watching this live, pop in and say hi to one another. Let's remind each other that we're in this together. All right, let's take a look. Numbers chapter 22. We're going to look at, let's see, just a first little over a dozen verses, and it's going to be a good read. A familiar passage. And it's going to go through cycles, 3 cycles to be to exact. But I'll go into that more. Let's take a look. Numbers chapter 22. We're going to look at the first 14 verses. So again, we're going through the book of Numbers, and I titled this "Seeking a Curse to Weaken." Seeking a curse to weaken. Outsiders trying to leverage God. Numbers chapter 22, verses 1 through 14. Let's take a look. Starting from verse 1. Then the people of Israel set out and camped in the plains of Moab beyond the Jordan at Jericho. All right, let's take a look at this. This actually sets us up for what we're going to see from this point on through the balance of Numbers and also into Deuteronomy. Before we go into, if we were to continue, go into Joshua and see the nation bring down the walls of Jericho. So we're going to see this scenario all take place in this one particular location, and the setting also begins with this Balak and Balaam narrative. And we're going to see a number of things that are going to take place. First, we're going to see the summoning of Balaam by Balak. And this also sets up a contrast between what we had just read before and what we're about to read right now. What did we read before? Well, we saw the nation of Israel moving northward, circumnavigating around this region of Edom, because the king of Edom did not allow them to go through. And as they're moving through these areas, particularly through the Amorite area, they were encountering resistance, but Israel would be, in a sense, signaled by God to go ahead and destroy them, and that would become legendary. In fact, it would the news of the defeat of Og and Sihon, the two Amorite kings, would set it up for Balak to have this fear in his heart about this nation coming upon his doorstep. So let's see. Verse 2. And Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites, and Moab was in great dread of the people, because they were many. Moab was overcome with fear of the people of Israel. And Moab said to the elders of Midian, this horde will now lick up all that is around us, as the ox licks up the grass of the field. So Balak, the son of Zippor, who was king of Moab at that time. Let's kind of pause here for a moment, and let's just kind of unpack some of the things that we're reading here. So this actually is the first of 3 cycles to dispatch Balaam, to bring him out, to really have Balaam do something at the request of Balak. Balak is initially introduced as the son of Zippor, and it's quite interesting why that, and not introduce him as the king of Moab. Well, it's probably because the word king in Hebrew, melech, actually can mean many different things. It doesn't necessarily mean king. It could also be a tribal chieftain. It could be a ruler of a city. So melech doesn't necessarily mean king, but he may be a very big leader amongst the Moabs, especially in light of the fact that King Og and King Sihon had defeated Moab and conquered some of their land before the Israelites came and destroyed the Amorites. And so there's a couple things going on here. One is that this king has been reduced down to a chieftain, or the original king may have been defeated, and this guy would be kind of the top dog of the Moabites. But also, he saw that Israel had what Israel had done to the Amorites, and so the word "saw" here, ra'ah, has a meaning more than just seeing. It's seeing with understanding in the Hebrew. To truly not just literally see the nation of Israel, but to kind of have that understanding that the reason why they're fearing is because, wow, this is a huge nation. This is a nation that is not only huge, but has also defeated some enemies that had defeated me. So if Israel is able to defeat these enemies, what have I got? What chance do I have in light of this to go up against Israel? And so Moab, again, personified as a person, to really say all the people of Moab reached out to the Midianites, and sharing their concerns. They wanted to form alliances to kind of join powers to go up against Israel. Verse 5. So again, we're talking about the Balak, son of Zippor here, carrying on here, sent messengers to Balaam, the son of Beor, at Pethor, which is near the river in the land of the people of Ammah, to call him, saying, behold, the people has come out of Egypt. They cover the face of the earth, and they are dwelling opposite me. Come now, curse this people for me, since they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I shall be able to defeat them and drive them from the land, for I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed. Let's take a look at these verses. So again, Balaam here, we get a general sense of his reputation here. He's a prophet, but not in a prophet, not in the traditional Israelite prophet sense, but he is one that supposedly hears from gods or is able to connect with different gods. He's a diviner of some sort, and so clearly he's of great prominence, very big reputation, probably, yeah, just like a celebrity to a certain extent, to require emissaries coming from two different nations. And we're going to see that indeed both the Moabites and the Midianites sent emissaries to retrieve, to call upon Balaam. The city of Pether, it's been attributed to a city called Pitru. Now, if it is indeed Pitru, when we consider the distance from Pitru to Moab, for instance, that's approximately 420 miles. I mean, this is a considerable journey, and that reputation of Balaam to reach all the way out these hundreds of miles, this is no small reputation. And so it takes about almost a month to travel from Moab to Pether, and then probably another couple months. I mean, we don't know exactly how much time, but it could take as long as 2 months to go back and forth. And so here, this correspondence that we're having here, as we read it, it seems like it's almost instantaneous. Again, we want to be careful not to read the modern day context, the era of cell phones, to bring that into this context. This back and forth exchange probably took as long as 4 months. And so again, Israel's reputation clearly is also known. You have Balak describing Israel beginning with that exodus from Egypt. But notice how Balak does not acknowledge God in all of this. I mean, there's not even a mention of God. It's just Israel just came out of Egypt, but nothing about God. And Balak apparently wants to have Balaam curse Israel, and apparently his reputation is such that if he blesses someone, they are certainly blessed. If he curses someone, they're certainly cursed. Whether he truly has power or not, that's another matter. But Balak simply wants Balaam to curse the nation of Israel so that he has a fighting chance to drive the Israelites. It's not even to defend Moab. This is so that he could defeat Israel to reclaim the land that he had lost to the Amorites. And Balaam, again, has such a reputation to be able to carry out this activity, to be able to bless and to curse. Excuse me. Let's continue. Verse 7. So the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the fees for divination in their hand, and they came to Balaam and gave him Balak's message. So again, here we see that indeed these two nations joined forces, sent emissaries together to Balaam, and to call upon Balaam to help out. The word fees here probably is not the right. It's not to say that they are paying for his services. It's probably tradition, custom to bring. I don't want to say offering, but to kind of bring something to recognize Balaam as a man of honor for his ability, for his services. So maybe to consider this as like a down payment, but it's not in the sense of paying for his services. And it's almost similar to what the Magi brought to baby Jesus. It's to kind of honor and to recognize Balaam. Again, we see this being talked about in Numbers chapter 22, verse 37, and as well in 24, verse 11. Let's continue. Verse 8. And he said to them, lodge here tonight, and I will bring back word to you as the Lord speaks to me. So the princes of Moab stayed with Balaam. A few things we're seeing here. So again, Balaam proceeds with caution. He doesn't just outright say, yeah, let's go. He does proceed with caution, and he decides, I'm going to consult with the divine before giving you a reply. After hearing what Balak had, Balak's request, he was cautious. And we lack the details of the big pomp and circumstance. They probably had just a tradition, a custom, but all those details are put aside. It just cuts to the chase, and all you see is Balaam saying, spend the night here. And we see a simple chiasm here, lodge here, and then indeed the princes, these emissaries, indeed lodge with Balaam. And right in the middle is this need to seek out a word from God, a word from the Lord. Now, if you look at the Hebrew, he uses the covenantal name of God, Yahweh. Now, it brings up a bunch of questions. Was Balaam a true believer? To be able to say that he is Yahweh, it's like, wow, is he a believer? Or is he bragging? Is he just saying, like, okay, let me talk to my buddy Yahweh? Or could he, and this is most likely the reason, Balaam has this access to, or supposedly has this access to all these different gods. And so here he's saying, let me have this conversation with the God of Israel. And so it's most likely this last one. It's quite a curious thing for him to call him Yahweh. But in the end, we see that Balaam is actually an instrument of God. His true colors will actually show much later as we go through this. Again, this is just the first cycle. This is just the first sending of the emissaries, and then they're going to have another back and forth later on. Verses 9 through 12. And God came to Balaam and said, who are these men with you? And Balaam said to God, Balak, the son of Zippor, the king of Moab, has sent to me, saying, behold, a people has come out of Egypt, and it covers the face of the earth. Now come, curse them for me. Perhaps I shall be able to fight against them and drive them out. God said to Balaam, you shall not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed. Again, it's kind of comical when you think about it. Here, Balaam is trying to contact or elicit a response from Yahweh. And of course, this is the God of the Israelites. And it seems weird to say, I'm going to call upon the God of Israel so that he can turn around and curse them on behalf of the king of Moab. It almost seems comical when you think about it. And also notice that it is God that comes to Balaam, not the other way around. It wasn't Balaam coming to God, but God comes to Balaam. And the word for God here is the word Elohim instead of Yahweh, which is to say this is still Yahweh, God, but not the covenantal God in that manner before Balaam. Before Balaam, he's just Elohim, to clearly delineate the fact that with God. And God asks a rhetorical question. I mean, obviously, he knows his people, but this is a rhetorical question, and Balaam speaks and shares what Balak had been requesting, and he basically repeats what Balak had said. And God's response, plain and simple, no, do not carry out their intentions. These people are blessed. And it's interesting. It's not to say they will be blessed. I will be blessing them, but God is essentially saying it's already been done. These people are blessed, and God's promise here. I mean, it goes all the way back to Genesis chapter 12. God had already spoken about this nation, saying, anyone who curses this nation, that curse is going to be brought back upon the one cursing, and vice versa. If one blesses this nation, they themselves will be blessed. Verse 13. So Balaam rose in the morning and said to the princes of Balak, "Go to your own land, for the Lord has refused to let me go with you." It's quite an interesting response. Again, he's basically saying, Yahweh, the God of Israel, has told me, no, I cannot go with you. Not even addressing the original request. The original request was, curse them, because you have the ability to just speak it and it will happen. Curse these people. But Balaam's response is, sorry, I can't come with you. Completely opposite of what was being asked. Verse 14. So the princes of Moab rose and went to Balak and said, "Balaam refuses to come with us." Again, a lot of interesting things going on here. The messengers, these princes, came back to Balak and basically says, Balaam refuses to appear. And that's it. There's no mention about Yahweh. There's no mention about God having this encounter with Balaam. Nothing of that sort. God, once again, is kind of left out of this picture. And we know that Balak would not come to know that it is the Lord that refused, or appear to Balaam. He speaks nothing of God when he's talking about Israel leaving Egypt. He also learns nothing about God in this exchange that Balaam and God has. And so Balak is kind of in the dark here, whether intentionally or unintentionally. So if we look at these verses, what are you learning out of all this? What am I learning out of all this? For me, I think it's quite interesting. Our God cannot be used by outsiders to undermine our good work for the Lord. I hope that makes sense. A lot of people will reach out to God, not have a relationship with God, and basically, oops, wrong button here. All right, and basically say that I'm gonna call upon God, the Christian God, that I have no relationship with, and try to bring that against the Christian. And it's kind of ridiculous when you think about it, but it's a truth that sometimes we overlook. If God is for us, who can be against us, right? If this is our God, if God calls us His children, literally we are unstoppable. We cannot be stopped, and it's God who would be saying to these outsiders, to these people who do not have a relationship with the Lord, my children are blessed. I hope we recognize that. Number one, I hope we recognize that we really are blessed. In light of our relationship today with Jesus Christ and having direct access to God, we are blessed. And then to turn it around and for people who are outside of this relationship with God, they cannot go to God and apart from that relationship and say, curse your people. That will never happen. I hope that makes sense. But it's such a good reminder for me. We are truly blessed. We have God on our side. Amen. All right. Once again, thank you, everyone, for sharing this time together. I love you guys. You guys are huge encouragement to me as I do these live streams. And even if it's just for one person, I will continue doing this. Except for next week, I will be unable to do it. But you know what I mean. Thank you so much. each and every one of you for sharing this time. And I hope you have an opportunity to kind of reflect upon these words that we've just read. And in light of all these little details about the great distance that these people traveled to a diviner, and how all this is kind of comical, and trying to call upon God to curse his own people. It's like, it does not make any sense. So thank you. Thank you, Joanna, for sharing. We're so blessed. Thank you, God. Reminds me of the song YM Choir will sing this spring called "I'm So Blessed." Amen. Amen. It's going to be a great time. So let's go. Let's really prepare ourselves for this worship encounter with the Lord. I mean, we're almost to the weekend, with the weekend of worship. Let's go through this day strong. Let's make it into Friday, and let's worship together. Have a great day, guys. I love you. I'm praying for you all. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.